So what are the key challenges facing the banks and how can they overcome them?
But it's quite often the same with banks. One of the key challenges for banks is to change. And the change that we discussed before are strongly impacting the banks. And as a big organization, it's difficult to quickly adapt to those changes. So there is two kinds of transformation for banks. The short-term transformation, adapt and comply with the current regulation, and also adapt their services to new kinds of services like mobile services. So for the first one, for the regulation, it's about deploying systems that are more secured, deploying strong authentication for any transaction online or on the mobile. And it's also about opening new standardized API for any third parties that would like to have access to banks' information or to aggregate data for customers or to initiate payment directly with banks. And for banks, this is a big stakes because they are not used to share this kind of data with other people because usually it's centralized. With PSD2, it's really thinking about how to work together to improve services and the value proposition for customers. So that's for the short-term evolution for banks. For the short-term evolution on mobile, it's also important to think about adapting the services to the mobile. Not just take the same existing services and put it on the mobile, not like this. They need to think about adapting the customer journey to propose more connectivity, real-time transaction, to match with the customers' needs that have evolved since 10 years, I would say. And if they don't do that, banks take the risk to be pushed out of the picture by giant internet players or merchants that want to control the relationship and the customer journey of their customer within their shops and so on. So it's really key for banks to transform their organization to match those needs. That's for the short-term evolution. For the long-term one, in fact, it's linked to open banking, it's linked to big data. And to do so, they need to think about, okay, I need to adapt my system, my organization, my processes. But how can I do that? By keeping in mind that my system should also be sustainable in time. I mean, how to build a system that will be future-proof for what will come in 10 years. And that's a big challenge for banks. I have a budget to modify my system, how to make it sustainable. And to do so, there is some components that could simplify that. For instance, today, many banks are thinking about migrating to ISO 20022 because this kind of protocol is more flexible, give access to new functionalities, or at least will simplify the way you will communicate with third parties in the future, and also because it's better standardized and it will bring more interoperability locally but also globally for between banks.